Logan Roy on the actor strike. Oh yeah, he fucking popped off on this too. Dude, it's so wonderful seeing so many beloved actors who normally would have some unique takes come out and have the best, mathematically, the best possible takes of all time. John Cusack has always had some pretty solid takes, but it's great. It's great seeing so many actors, regardless of age, background, creed, popping off and demonstrating solidarity. This is what it's about. I love seeing an older white man pop off with a solid take. I have seen so many actors come out of the gates swinging, okay? Not holding back, just straight up talking about how important this is for labor rights. I mean, this is obviously the classic one. This unfortunately was deleted, even though once you fucking put this out there, once you ether studio executives, everyone is going to go and, oh yeah, I saw this. This is such an insane thing. Why are people polling Dylan Mulvaney? Everyone is going to go and save it and re-upload it. I don't think he should have ever deleted it, but I understand why he did. Let's watch this again.
Motherfucker.
Good one, dude. The sphere. Got it. Sphere memes. Here.
But I will say one thing before I get off this. The motherfucker who said we're going to keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments. Listen to me, motherfucker. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. Some of it is financial. Some of it is karma. And some of it is just figuring out who the fuck said that. And we know who said that. And where he fucking lives. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. You wish that on people. You wish that families starve while you're making $27 fucking million a year for creating nothing. Be careful, motherfucker. Be really careful. Because that's the kind of shit that stirs shit up. Peace out. But I will say one thing before I get off.
He was so real for this, dude. He was so unimaginably real for this. I mean, it's just so fucking good. He said, don't start your car tomorrow. Chad, don't say anything that'll get you banned from Twitch. Yeah, literally don't do that.
What a shame.
Here, this is pretty good. Writers, let me show you how, our funny signs actors, let me show you how to cut a promo. Yeah, no, it's, actors obviously have like better on-camera media training. So that is true. You are seeing a lot more visibility, and you will continue to see a lot more visibility on this stuff because they just straight up are, I mean, they're going crazy with it. They're going bananas mo with it. Okay. They're going absolutely nutty with it. Hold on. Let me bring the fucking treadmill over here. Christopher Nolan on the ongoing strikes. We'll do that as well. Privileged by playing in period dramas. Go figure. I mean, yeah, these guys these are obviously the most famous actors out there and the best paid actors out there. But it's yet another one of those circumstances where you're just paying attention to the most famous and the most paid and then thinking that resembles the entirety of the industry, when in fact these guys would be better off not striking and continuing to work because they don't give a fuck. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars in certain instances, but they're doing that for those who do not have, okay? Obviously, it benefits them as well because if we're talking about residuals from streamer contracts, they recognize that they're getting fucked over as well. They could be making more money, and it's the money that they are generating at the end of the day. But this is done for the future. This is done for those who have less than them, and it's done for the future. It's solidarity. So I don't want to hear it from everybody being like, these guys are not rich, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Here's Sean Gunn.
Talks about what a shame it is. He needs to remember that in 1980, CEOs like him made 30 times what their lowest worker was making. Now Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame, Bob. And maybe you should take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, why is that? And not only why is that, is it okay? Is it morally okay? is it ethically okay that
So
you
good.
make that much more than your lowest worker? And if so, why? Why is that okay? If your response is that that's just the way business is done now, that's just the way corporations work now, well, that sucks, and that makes you a person if that's your answer. So you should come up with a better answer than that. Talks about what a shame.
Oh my God, it's so good. Here's Christopher Nolan on it.
No, absolutely. It's very important that everybody understand that it is a very, very key moment in the relationship
I don't even know how he heard that because he's deaf.
between working people in Hollywood. And this is not about me. This is not about the stars of my film. This is about jobbing actors. This is about staff writers on television programs trying to raise a family, trying to be able to, keep food on the table. These companies have not yet accommodated how they're going to, in this new world of streaming, in a world where they're not licensing their products out to other broadcasters. They're keeping them for themselves to grow a subscriber base. They have not yet offered to pay appropriately to the union's working members. And it's very important that they do so. And I think you never want a strike, you never want industrial action, but there are times where it's necessary. This is one of those times.
Oh, Brian Cox of the shaded the DGA. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that right now. Because the Directors Guild, of course, Christopher Nolan is a part of it, but, he's got a better take. The Directors Guild famously immediately negotiated while the WGA strikes were happening, and they settled. They were like, we're good, which everyone was expecting for the record. And a lot of people were even expecting SAG-AFTRA to also come to a good conclusion. Let's watch.
That's the biggest problem, is that the residuals go down and they're paying less and less. Now, in a way, the kind of streaming services have shot themselves in the foot because they said, we're doing very well on this front, very well on this front. And when we called them to task and said, well, look, what about our residuals? What about our money? Of course, now everything kind of closes down and says, well, it's not going to happen. And that helped precipitate the SAG strike. But also the SAG strike, I say, was very much in support of the WGA, unlike the Directors Guild, who did not support the WGA, which I find astonishing.
Are the Teamsters not working at all, or just not crossing lines? Genuine question. So remember, each individual union has a different bargaining committee. They have different leadership, and they have different rank and file. And the timeline of their negotiations and their contracts can sometimes overlap, like it does with the DGA, SAG-AFTRA, and the WGA. But in other circumstances, it might not. But one of the things that you have to always do if you're a union is you have to fulfill the terms of your contract on your own end. So that's precisely the reason why sometimes, especially unions that aren't as powerful as the Teamsters, will continue working. Like Ayatse, often will continue working even if there is a strike happening on the site. It's technically not considered scabbing because they're a union and that's their contract, right? Now, having said that, Teamsters, probably one of the most powerful union in the nation, both due to what they do, logistics. It's irreplaceable because you can't literally scab a truck and a truck driver, right? And also due to how big they are, how much runway they have, how big their strike funds are, how influential they are throughout their history. So Teamsters can get away with saying Teamsters do not cross picket lines. They are notorious for never crossing picket lines. So what that means is if there are two people striking, if it's the WGA, if it's SAG-AFTRA, it doesn't matter. If there are two people picketing outside of a business, Teamsters will not bring their trucks on site. Bro, you out of breath? I'm walking a little bit faster today than yesterday because I'm going to get more used to walking at a faster pace and talking at the same time. Chris Stuckman has a good take on this. What is this?
What's going on, guys? So it's been a while since I've done a discussion video. The WGA and SAG are all striking right now. The DGA, the directors, they were able to work out a deal, but writers and actors are striking. Fran Drescher of the Nanny fame is president of SAG, and she made an impassioned speech about the difficulties of even trying to negotiate with Hollywood. This is historic for many reasons, and I'm making a video about it because I've seen a lot of misconceptions floating around the internet, surprise, surprise, and I figured a guy wearing a Pikachu shirt should set things straight. The writers have been striking now for over 70 days. And just to be clear, I am not yet a member of the WGA, but when my film Shelby Oaks comes out, I will finally be eligible. And so I will likely become a member at that time. So I don't have any, reason necessarily to make this video other than to sort of talk about a few things, especially with SAG right now, that I've been thinking about, that I think people should understand and that should be part of the conversation. Because when the writers began to strike, I saw a lot of concerning comments spread around the internet, namely, movies suck now, so why should writers be paid? They should learn to write better, all that kind of bullshit, to be completely honest. And the truth of the matter is movies don't suck right now at all. I mean, didn't everyone pretty much like Top Gun Maverick or Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 or John Wick Chapter 4? These are all WG.
And also, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they suck or not. This is subjective. Don't matter. It's not about whether you like it or not. It's about how much value is that movie creating for the people at the top. That value is created by those in production, staffers, PAs, key grips, best boys, lighting and sound techs, actors, and also writers and directors, to name a few. Okay? These are the people that make the value. Without them, you don't have a movie. Gaffers, what's the best boy? All of those are just production terms. Anyway, listen. Without these guys, there is no movie. There's just no movie whatsoever. When they get together and create a product, whether you like it or not, that product is making money. Okay? It's creating value. Now, some of that, people sit around and figure out how much money that's going to potentially make for the studio. They pay you an hourly wage beforehand, before the movie gets released. And then on top of that, you can get residuals, points, yada, yada, like a percentage of the merchandise, percentage of the IP, that sort of thing. A lot of that stuff is discussed beforehand, and in many circumstances, due to Hollywood accounting, which we talked about yesterday, a lot of those points amount to nada, because studios don't want to pay additional money to their writers and their actors. People in IATSE, they don't even see the points in general. They do sometimes see residuals. But for a lot of people that are working in the production side, they don't even get to see a percentage of that. Now, why am I mentioning all this over and over again? Because, like I said, it has nothing to do with whether you like the movie or not, and everything to do with how much money did that writer create? How much value did that individual writer or that individual actor create for the process? Clawing that back from the studio executives and the shareholders is at the heart of this process. That is what's going on right now. So let's continue.
Written productions. Just because aspects of some movies aren't great does not mean that people who work shouldn't be paid. Come on, man. When people think of these guilds, whether it's the DGA, the WGA, SAG, they tend to think of like the most famous people in them. When they think of actors, they think of Brad Pitt or Keanu Reeves, George Clooney, Tom Cruise, Denzel Washington. They think of these mega rich, incredibly successful celebrities. But those are not the only people that are part of SAG. There are people right here in Ohio who are members of SAG, who do work like bartender roles, or a customer at a restaurant, or someone walking around in the background. Not everyone is SAG. Some people are non-union or SAG eligible, but there are plenty of actors who are part of that union, and they do not have a livable wage. Not even close. And when it comes to the WGA, writers are historically undervalued. I can tell you that from personal experience. I've had really a hard time getting my first film off the ground. Before Shelby Oaks, there were many other almosts that happened that I've never talked about. I have done countless rewrites on films that came really close to happening. unpaid every single time. I've worked for months and months and months on scripts with producers who are millionaires who wanted to get one of my films made. Never saw a cent and was treated like trash the whole time. None of my work was respected, and I was constantly asked to do the most insane, stupefying rewrites that would blow your mind. This is totally normal for writers. They go through this shit all the time. They sit there trying to figure out how to get a film made because they love this craft and they love movies so much, and they constantly have to deal with people who are far richer and far more powerful than they are to make that happen. And so they're in a constant state of placating someone who is considered better than them and who knows it and who will use that mentality that they are powerful and better than them to control a writer and make them feel like trash. And it happens all the time. And the WGA is 100% striking for a good reason. But I think the biggest thing and the number one reason I wanted to make this video that is extremely alarming about what Hollywood was proposing to SAG and what SAG said no fucking way to was this idea of owning a background actor's likeness digitally. So in a movie, if you have a crowd scene or you need a bunch of people to fill out a room, that's background actors. In the past, they were normally referred to as extras, which is a somewhat demeaning title, and so background actors sounds a little better. These people make your shot look good. They fill it out. They make it seem like you're in a real space, especially in big movies where you're at stores or events or a concert or something along those lines. Background actors are absolutely necessary. In some cases, it's CGI, like if it's a battlefield in Troy or the Lord of the Rings or something, but that's understandable. But according to SAG, what studios were saying was that they would like to hire a background actor.
Here you go. I have the heart rate monitor up. For those of you who were wondering, put it over here. There you go. Blood is dying. Wait, why? 115 for walking at like a relatively fast pace is not that bad. What are you talking about? People are so weird. I forget that like people just oftentimes I forget that people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So they just like literally freak out in the chat as though it's like something freak outable, and then they make me second guess myself. Not only am I walking, and I've walked almost a mile so far, 0.8 miles since I started walking at my pace, I'm also talking at the same time. You say dumb shit to inflate your ego when you call us out. It's actually a pretty good heart rate, I would say. 90 to 100 walking BPM is normal for most Olympic runners. Yeah, I'm not like the most... I have pretty decent cardio for how big I am. I'm a big boy. I'm 245, 46 pounds. And I have pretty good cardio for it now. I wouldn't say that a year ago, but I can play multiple back-to-back full court pickup basketball games in a row, which is pretty good for someone who's 32 years old and this big. So that's the reason why 115 while I'm talking and walking at like a pace that's, I wouldn't say slow, definitely faster than my regular walking pace is pretty good. Let's continue.
Actor for one day, meaning a day rate, whatever it might be, probably somewhere around $200 to $300, scan their likeness, and then excuse them from work and not need them ever again. But then, and this is the scary part, they would own that actor's likeness forever. And they could just keep using that digital likeness of somebody in background scenes of all of their movies, whenever they wanted. Not that I need an analogy for how crazy that is, but I'm going to do one anyway. I wrote about this on my Instagram already, so if you follow me there, you would have seen this. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck got their start doing background work as actors. They're in the movie Field of Dreams somewhere in the Fenway Park scene. They've talked about this a lot in interviews, how much fun they've had and how impactful that was for them. And that experience continued to lead to other background work, and eventually School Ties came around and Saving Private Ryan and Born Identity and Ben Affleck's Oscar-winning career as a director and all of that great stuff. But let's just for a second imagine that this modern day technology that studios are trying to push on people existed back in 1989. And Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did one day for the Fenway Park scene and then had their likenesses scanned and they signed that away forever. And then they don't come back for a second day.
Let's be real. Those boys they're not the most tech savvy. At least that's my copium for why Matt Damon did a dumbass NFT crypto ad. You know what I mean?
Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones just hang out on set with a few background actors who are actually there, knowing that the rest of it is just going to be filled out with these new scans that they've just acquired. And Universal, who made Field of Dreams, would now own Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's likeness forever in perpetuity. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, they could really take advantage of that. Except that's actually not what I'm saying. Because I don't think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck would have actually gotten famous had this technology existed. Because they would have owned their likeness, which means that if Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wanted to continue to do background work after Field of Dreams, Universal would have been like, no, we already scanned you. We don't need you for any more work. Oh, okay, well, there's some background work here for this production. That's Warner Brothers. Let me go over there and do some background work for this Warner Brothers movie. Oh, no, sorry. Universal actually owns your likeness. We can't work with you because your likeness has been signed away to Universal. Oh, so like, what do I do? Did I just like do a day on Field of Dreams and I'm never going to work again? There are so many loopholes to what I just said that you could fill it with so much shit. It's insane how terrifying that notion is. And that would probably lead to Damon and Affleck never having made Good Will Hunting, Robin Williams never getting a Best Supporting Actor win, no Born Identity, nothing that Affleck ever did in the future, none of that would probably have happened because their careers would have ended right then because they signed their likeness away in a second to some studio that doesn't give a shit about them. I can't believe that an actor would be degraded to that level. These are people who make movies happen. Writers are just as important.
I want to point out something. I don't think anyone in any sector, in any field, should be degraded to that level. Not just Ben Affleck, not just Matt Damon, not just even the background extras, but anyone in any field. Because the problem is, this is a labor issue, okay? This is yet another manifestation of the very real antagonistic relationship that capital owners have with those who are creating value, the laborers. They want to max out. They want to get the most amount of value out of you. They want you to work the most amount of hours with the least amount of pay. And the workers want to work the least amount of hours for the most amount of pay. It's understandable. This is normal, right? But there is no better way to dramatically change the nature of this relationship and get the most out of someone other than just stealing their likeness in this field. Same thing goes for any other sector, all the way from Uber drivers, delivery drivers, all the way to retail workers, and to actors, and even basketball players at the tippy top. That's how it works.
Important, in fact, more important. Without a writer, you don't have a movie. Writers, directors, actors, and especially crew are the people who get these movies made. All of these mega rich people who are sort of just profiting from the fact that other people are working very hard for them are terrified of losing like 2% of their money. And it's just absolutely, it's hilarious to be completely honest. One day...
To be fair though, 2% is a lot of money for those guys. It's so much money that it would quite literally change the lives of not one person, two people, but hundreds of people, thousands of people. That's why we use the example of CEO pay versus the average compensation of a person that works on the ground in the movie theater. You know what I mean?
Anyway, very good comedy released by a very brave studio will be made about these past few months. I think it's really easy to look at these strikes from a surface level. and just think, well, SAG is just mega famous people, right? Like Angelina Jolie or whatever. And no, it's not. It's everyday working people who love their art and love their craft, who just can't get ahead in this industry. And it's the same with writers. I mean, not every writer is Aaron Sorkin. There's tons of people who are just struggling to get anything made, and who can barely afford to make a living in Los Angeles or New York. This is why the cast of Oppenheimer left the premiere in solidarity with SAG, because all of them were starting actors once too. They all know what it feels like to be a struggling actor. Not a single one of them was just birthed into being famous and incredibly talented. And this is what we're dealing with.
Sorry.
And I really would love if more people understood that. I mean, you have to understand that former strikes are why writers have health care, are why certain things that we look at as normal now, it's because somebody back in the day didn't get paid for a long fucking time on a strike. And that's exactly what this strike is going to do for writers and actors. At some point in the future, 30 years from now, there's going to be a very normal thing that everyone has because of these strikes. It might not seem that way now. It might seem like it's taking a while now, but in the future, the people who are reaping the benefits of this strike are going to be very happy that this strike is happening. Those are my thoughts on all this craziness. Nobody on either side wants a strike to happen. I don't think.
Society can only prosper when old men plant seeds for trees they will never sit in the shades of. Why I do the things I do, and that's why I urge you to do the things that you do in terms of trying to set up labor organizing in your workplace, engaging in local activism, engaging in mutual aid. The fake treadmill who's doing moonwalking. I feel like none of you guys give a shit, though, about any of that, and you only care about the fucking treadmill. Oh, my God. We will eventually get over it.
Hey, everyone. I'm the editor. Thanks for watching till the end. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, then please drop a like and subscribe. Why not leave a Kaya love in the comments down below so that I know that you reached this point of the video? If you'd like more content like this one, then check the video up here on top of my head, or literally in front of my face right here.